everybody. Mark Moorhead here at the Hall of Flame Museum of Firefighting in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm the Curator of Education here at the world's largest historical firefighting museum. And one of the things that we're very proud of here at the museum is we have a fine collection of antique firefighting equipment, but we also have a lot of antique firefighters who hang around here, our volunteers. They're not all antique, like this guy isn't. But we have volunteers who are, for the most part, former volunteer firefighters or retired professional firefighters, or in some cases a little bit of both, or in a few cases they're current firefighters, but they still take some time out of their busy weeks to come down and put in some work here with us, and they share with us not only their expertise on firefighting equipment, but also on the many other skills that firefighters tend to have. A lot of firefighters tend to be terrific handymen and women. They tend to have skills in electronics, and they often can do, they're great painters, they can pour concrete, they can do all kinds of stuff, and we are able, and we're very fortunate to be able to draw on a lot of that expertise here at the Hall of Flame. But today we got one of them with us, one of the not so antique ones. Gentleman by the name of Tim Leija. Good to see you, Tim.
Good to see you.
All right, well now Tim has an interesting firefighting career. He's had an interesting firefighting career. You're retired now, isn't that right, Tim? Yeah, but before he was retired, Tim was with the Tucson, Arizona Fire Department. And I'd like him to tell us a little bit about that kind of unusual community. What's Tucson like?
Tucson is a town south of the Grand Canyon's main gates, south main gates. Population there is about 500 people. During the summertime and visiting time for the Grand Canyon, we can flux up to 12,000 to 15,000 people during the night. At the hotels, they get full. We have a big corridor freeway that leads into town. And there's always some kind of elk strike, major car accidents, minor car accidents out there.
Well, so basically, it sounds like that's a town that's pretty isolated, and yet at the same time, the whole world comes to you. Get people from all over the world and go in to visit, the great kind of big attraction of, except of course for the Hall of Flame, here in Arizona, and you got to be able to respond to situations that really are probably tough to anticipate.
Right, we have motor vehicle accidents that we have to use the extrication tools to get people out. We also have to call in helicopters because our town is about 88 miles away from the first trauma center, which is Flagstaff, Arizona. Also house fires, we call extra agencies to help with pumping water.
Sure, because a lot of that's probably not
there's not that much
hydrants.
Water. Right. There's no hydrants.
And I never thought about it, but you might also have a lot of human-animal interactions with the mule deer and the elk and other kinds of animals, for that matter, that are up there.
And even bringing that up, we also have hunting accidents. Sure. People get sick camping. So
encounters with rattlesnakes, scorpions, tarantulas, all that.
Correct. Yeah.
So interesting. Well, so you are a Valley guy, though. You're from Glendale, correct?
Correct.
And you lived in Glendale essentially the whole time you were working up in Tucson. So that's quite a commute. About how long is that commute?
3 hours.
Okay. But instead of living up there, you would do, what was it, a 48-hour shift?
A 48-hour shift, and then I would come home.
And how long would you be home for?
I could be home for 5 days.
I see. Okay. Now, what are some things, you've just mentioned a few things, but what are some other things geographically about working as a firefighter along the Grand Canyon that maybe other firefighters don't have to deal with?
We have an airport out there. We have airplane incidents out there. Also, again, the motor vehicle accidents, head-on collisions, people being trapped.
The altitude probably has an effect on people sometimes too.
Oh yes, the altitude. We have altitude sickness. People come up from San Diego, let's say,
sea level,
and then come all the way up to 7,000 feet, and they get dehydrated very quickly, and then they get into altitude sickness, and at night they're calling us to the hotels, and we would treat them and transport them to Flagstaff Medical Center.
So it sounds like it's a community that is, in a way, very remote, and yet because of the fact that people come from all over the world, and lots of them come from all over the world to see the canyon, you probably got to really kind of improvise and, as you would say, you know, be like cavemen. You gotta go back to the basics of firefighting.
Yeah, you have to go back to the basics, where a Halligan bar, an axe might be the only tool you'll have. You know, we do have extrication tools, but you're thinking about maybe a tree that the car is into, and you're going to have to cut down the tree. If you don't have a saw big enough, you're going to have to chip away at the tree to get to the patients that are inside the car. Just all kinds of different things that would happen that make you think, like you said, out of the box.
Well, sounds like it would be an interesting place to work. But now that you're retired, we're getting a lot of free work out of you here at the Hall of Flame Museum, which we really appreciate. But I wanted to kind of shift gears and ask you, as a firefighter, what do you think, what does this place mean to you, and what do you think it might mean to other firefighters?
The history of firefighting, how it began before George Washington was even born. We have that pump here that was here before, in the United States, before we became America. That is so simple to pump and push water into a building.
Yeah, it is, and it's but as you were pointing out to me one time, the technology might get more powerful and it might get more complicated and sophisticated, but the essential task, putting water on a fire, that's the same as it was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, correct. It's the old saying when I was in the fire academy: little fire, little hose; big fire, big hose. And that, you know, that's what your pumps are.
Pretty much says it all. Well, we sure appreciate you spending your time with us. It's great, always great to have you around. We also appreciate you all coming in and checking out these videos on our Hall of Flame Museum YouTube channel. If you like these video segments, please subscribe and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You've liked and subscribed to the YouTube channel.
Yes, I have.
Good man. And we want you all to do the same and share them on your social media and email them to your friends and family, anybody who's interested in firefighting or anybody who doesn't yet know that they're interested in firefighting. They need to see, get a look at our museum and learn that they are in fact interested in firefighting. I'm Mark Moorhead. This is the Hall of Flame Museum. Come back and check in with us often. We're always trying to bring you new stuff here. Bye-bye.